All right, so if you haven't heard, one of Vancouver's larger developers is maybe not bankrupt, but potentially going down the path of becoming bankrupt, with one of their larger projects here in Surrey now just recently entering receivership. So, massive Surrey condo project placed into receivership, over $85 million in debt, right? So, lenders have applied to have 1,032 unit project placed under receivership, saying they lost confidence in Metro Vancouver developers' ability to satisfy their obligations and manage their business. It was pitched to buyers as the ideal location in the heart of Surrey's new epicenter. Residents of District Northwest 1,032 unit development planned for Central Surrey could visit an unmatched selection of nearby retailers and restaurants, walk in the park, or hop on the SkyTrain, the track of which would bisect the development's twin towers of 45 and 39 stories. Surrey Central's District Northwest beats to the pulse of a different way of life, says the promotional material on the development's website. The pitch appears to have been popular with buyers. Roughly 90% of the project's condos have already been sold, generating deposits of about $78 million, which are now held in trust according to recent court filings. So when this launched, keep in mind, absorption rates, it would have launched, I think, at like late 2021, and the second building was early 2022, I believe, and absorption rates were really, really high. And this project sold at about $1,100 per square foot, and units moved super, super fast back at that time. But the project has seen construction delays since council approved it in 2020. Now its future is uncertain after the BC Supreme Court placed it under receivership this month, one of the largest in what has been a recent surge in real estate receiverships in Metro Vancouver. The development, Thin Properties, had failed to make its monthly mortgage payments starting in May of this year. According to the application filed last month by lender KingSett Mortgage Corp., KingSett claims it is owed more than $85 million, with interest continuing to accrue at $32,000 per day. In an affidavit filed in court last month, KingSett's executive director of loan and portfolio management, David Polak, wrote, "Given my experience, I am concerned about uncertain interest rates, which could negatively affect the value of the lands. In my experience with the market, there is currently a lot of uncertainty in the economy and particularly in the real estate market." So not too sure how this happened. I do know Thin Properties has another development in Richmond and another one in Burnaby. So could just be that they are over-levered and paying a lot of interest every single day, and possibly even purchased the land pretty expensive as well. KingSett tried to work with Thin, giving the developer a chance to restructure its financial affairs in a manner that would allow them to meet their obligations. Polak wrote, but the lender lost confidence in the borrower's ability to satisfy their obligations and manage their business, so KingSett doesn't trust them anymore. Thin opposed the receivership, which was first reported by the real estate news website Stories.com. In an affidavit filed November 7th, Thin Property CEO Daljit Thin wrote that his company had spent more than $26 million on the project so far in development permit and municipal fees, and was poised to proceed with construction, expecting a building permit before the end of 2024, which they did file in November. Thin wrote that KingSett representative had indicated last November that the company would provide construction financing for the project, but in March of this year told them that they would not do so, citing the lender's overall exposure to the developer. KingSett's failure to follow through on its commitment forced Thin to search for other partners, Thin wrote. So the lender initially told them, hey, we're going to give you financing. And then a year later, they're like, never mind, we're not going to give you financing. So that obviously puts the developer in a pretty tough position. The intrinsic value of the project is well in excess of the debt owed to the petitioner. At this critical juncture, the respondents need additional time to secure new joint venture partners. So the project is worth more than the actual loans that they currently have, or the debt that they currently have, according to Mr. Daljit Thin. In a November 8 court order, a BC Supreme Court judge appointed KSV Restructuring Incorporated to act as receiver for the project. So this is the person who is, I guess, now taking control of it, or the company that's taking control of it. Thin Properties did not reply to a request for comment, nor did lawyers acting for Thin, KSV, or KingSett. Somehow this project has gone bad, said Tom Davidoff, director of University of BC's Sauder School of Business Center for Urban Economics and Real Estate. There used to be a project that worked economically, and now it doesn't. Metro Vancouver developers have been raising alarms about rising costs, including materials, labor, interest rates, and permit fees, making developments no longer viable. At the same time, construction loans appear to be harder to come by right now compared with past years, Davidoff said. Banks are not handing them out like Halloween candy. Last year, the Richmond News reported that Thin Properties halted a 400-unit condo project in Richmond, and I believe everybody got their deposits back on that, and advised presale buyers that they would return their deposits, with the developer citing unseen circumstances, rising interest rates, and development challenges. Last month, Thin listed the property for sale. So here's my take on all this. First off, I'm seeing a lot of, I guess, like a smear campaign almost on Mr. Daljeet. Then I'm seeing it on social media, in my comments, everywhere. And, I've heard from other people in the industry that know him personally that he's a very hardworking man, nice guy, has integrity. He basically started off similar to probably everybody else, working 9-to-5 job, made some smart investments and worked his way up. And this is the thing with most wealthy people, is that they were just like you at some point. They just made a lot of really good decisions over the course of their life. So, there's almost this narrative out there that it's just like, we just hate people just because they have money. And I don't subscribe to that at all, right? I mean, people are people. The fact that they have money doesn't change who they are. In fact, it just makes you more of whatever you were beforehand, right? So that's the first thing, right? I've heard very good things about the gentleman. And, at the end of the day, you are a developer for decades, and then one bad market cycle takes you out. And prices went down, interest rates went up 5%, 500 basis points, as if anyone was going to forecast that. And then on top of everything, as prices are down, as interest rates are up, you have the government just hammering you almost every month with new regulations, taking away more buyers from the inventory that you're trying to sell, banning foreign investors, flipping tax, increasing the capital gains rate, making it harder to be a landlord. All these things that take buyers that probably would have been in the buyer pool are now not in the buyer pool. Therefore, it's much more difficult to run your business in an environment that was already extremely difficult. So what's going to happen with this? I'm not a lawyer. Please talk to a lawyer if you bought into this project. But to me, either somebody's going to buy the project, finish building it, or what may have to happen is the lender takes back control and they have to fire sale the land to somebody else who wants to build it. And I think in that case, whoever bought into this project would probably get their deposit back, because as this article cites, the deposit goes into a trust account. And that's why the developer doesn't actually hold these deposits. The lawyers hold these deposits. The developer can access the deposits to finance some of the construction or the project. But in that case, they actually need to insure those deposits. And the companies that insure these deposits are heavily regulated. So it's very unlikely that if you bought into this project that you're not going to get your deposit back. I personally think you will. Again, I'm not a lawyer. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the fact that I see all these comments everywhere and people are like cheering this on, like, yes, haha, you're bankrupt in my comments. And, these are the same people that want the housing market to crash, that want more affordable real estate. And what they don't realize is when something like this happens, it's not positive for housing affordability. This was 1,032 units that were going to be built in 2027 that are now potentially gone. 1,000 extra units are now potentially gone. And on top of that, a lot of these people that invested in these units that are, likely now getting back their deposits, a good portion of those people, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to take that money and they're going to go buy something else, eating up. So now we're negative 1,000 units, and they're going to go eat up some of the other supply that's existing currently, right? So, and you guys know when you bring down supply, if demand stays the same, well, the prices have to go up. So, developers bring product to market. And then when there's more product, like this is why prices are coming down right now, because there's more inventory on the market. 3-4 years down the road, if this keeps happening and more developers go more developments go into receivership, what do you think happens? Well, then there's less units getting built 3 years from now. And if there's less units getting built, then there's less supply. And again, if the same amount of people are still out there buying, well, then the prices go up, right? So this isn't a positive for housing affordability. This actually does the exact opposite. So, if you stand in the camp that housing should be more affordable, I don't necessarily understand why you would be cheering this on. So regardless, wanted to show you guys this. If you want to buy or sell, give me a ring, subscribe to the channel. I also have a newsletter down below where I share deals, market insights, all in a text-based format. Make sure you join that. I'm that Agent Kelly. I'm making moves to move you. Peace.